Alright, so the incident that has me posting this actually happened to me today, just a few hours ago. But there's a lot of what I believe to be related incidences, so bear with me. My store is haunted. Laugh if you will, but being an overnighter, I see plenty of fairly unexplainable events. I am a reasonable person. Yes, I believe in many different supernatural entities, however, I'm also aware that physics is pretty weird in itself. If I can explain something away with logic, I will. It makes the weird things I do see, I don't know, less prevalent, therefore less creepy? I'm not sure. I just know that the less I see of the supernatural, better off my day-to-day mindset is. Now, I've worked first, second, and third shift at my store. I've been there a depressingly long time for how short my life has been. The store and its employees are great, but retail is a bitch. I've only ever noticed the weird and creepy in the dark, quiet hours of the night. Generally, only when there's just the employees in the store. I don't know if it's because things like stuff flying off the shelves at random always seems to have a logical explanation when the store is crowded, or if it's because our ghosts only come out at night. Time of the day seems like a ridiculous contradiction to impose on the dead. As previously mentioned, at night, things like to fly off shelves at random. On my very first week of full-time overnights, I remember hearing a very loud ruckus coming from the back of the store. I went to go look at what had happened to find one bottle out of a package of our nutritional shakes, broken and leaking everywhere at the opposite end of the aisle. Just for reference, that's a good 28 feet in difference. It was like someone had plucked it out of the package and tossed it towards the front of the aisle. No one had entered the store in a little over an hour. We had no pharmacy waiters, no time wasters, no teenagers, or long shopping customers in a store. Just the employees. My manager had been in the office doing paperwork. The door leading into the office was heavy. I can hear it close from the opposite side of the store, and when I poked my head into the office to find him, he was there, hunched over the store's cash reports. He had asked what I needed when I walked into the office. I told him what happened, and he just shrugged and said, rather nonchalantly, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure the store is haunted by several things. Most people think I'm crazy. They seem mostly benign, if occasionally annoying." Mostly benign? Another shrug. There's one that likes to watch people. I get the feeling I'm being watched all the time here in the office. A few other people have noticed it at night too. The break room is worse. I've also had some pretty nasty, weird near misses. I soon found out what he meant. Things firmly planted behind a guard would end up 2 aisles over. Keeping holiday merchandise on the risers in the wee hours is a nightmare. And when I got promoted, I noticed the feeling of being watched while I was in the office as well. Except, I get it in the stockroom, and in the back hallway by the break room, and the bathrooms as well. Things you set down in the stockroom would end up in the photo lab, when you hadn't been in the lab all night. Sometimes stuff would go missing altogether. I had a set of keys you can see me very clearly set down on a counter in the cameras in the store. When I looked back at our records, you never see anyone pick them back up or even approach the area in the time I left them there. They just disappeared. Then the truly creepy things started to happen. Things started flying at me once I had an alarmingly tall stack of 2 liters almost fall on top of me. Cleaning up that mess was a nightmare and took way too long. Things set solidly and levelly on the top of the middle deck would tear in my direction. Ladders, which had been planted flat and firmly on the ground, would shift pretentiously. I've had too many close calls to count. Once while pulling stock in the back, the ladder shuddered and it felt like it was about to tip over. Sideways. I lost my foothold and stumbled down several steps, heart racing. I eventually caught myself on the overstock bay I'd been pulling crap out of, but not before I caught my wrist on one of the edges on the way down. It stopped my momentum, but broke my wrist. Another moment was when I was on our tallest ladder, putting things up at the top for storage. I set the box I was carrying down on the ladder, lurched forward, and began to tip over. My brain short-circuited, and I reacted before I could even think past dying at work is a miserable way to go. I jumped a couple feet from the ladder to the middle of the deck. Stunned, I turned around and watched as the ladder clattered to the ground. When my brain caught up to what happened, I sat down in the middle deck, shaking. Somehow my cashier hadn't managed to hear the noise, and I had to call to the front of the store with my cell phone when I finally managed to calm down. She laughed at me for being clumsy, and I didn't bother to correct her. Most of my coworkers thought I was crazy for insisting the store was haunted, too. My most recent and scariest encounter puts me in the situation OSHA would definitely not approve of. But I've never before had an accident like this, so I never saw the harm to it. To elaborate, my store is in the possession of 2 gray double-decker carts on wheels. They're made out of that lightweight, fairly durable plastic. It is my habit during the holiday season to climb up on the larger of the 2 and pull myself along the risers as I'm stocking and putting up the merchandise. It's much easier, since I can put the product I need off to the side of me and roll myself to one end of the riser to another. The constant up and down to shuffle the ladder along problem is solved. These double-deckers are fairly stable, and the wheels lock into place once you're stationary. Fairly easy to maneuver, and given my history with ladders, I always felt safer using the double-deckers in lieu of the ladders. I was putting up some of our Christmas merchandise up onto the top of the risers that we had gotten on our most recent truck. I had paused for a moment to look towards the front of the store. The doors had opened, and I was wanting to see who walked in. I was standing, stationary, no movement on my part. The cart was stable and hadn't budged from where I parked it. I had been bending down to grab the item off my cart. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my cashier, Tabitha, suddenly book it up the aisle. I was wondering what she was doing when the cart's front wheels lurched sideways, as though someone had shoved it hard. I had your traditional, hokey, slow-mo flash of my impending doom. I fell forward and hit my head hard on the riser, only to keep falling. With the speed of my cart, my knees could have caught the edge, and I believe I would have smacked my head on the hard tile floor first. I grabbed desperately for the riser, managed to get my fingers curled around the edge, and the cart stopped and stabilized. I felt a hand grab one of my pant legs, which slowed my movement. I managed to regain my balance when my palm finally connected with the riser. I immediately sat down on the cart. My legs were wobbly at the sudden burst of adrenaline. I was shaky for a good hour afterwards. Tabitha told me she suddenly had a really bad feeling and was rushing up to tell me that she didn't think me climbing all over the cart was a good idea. She caught the cart before it pulled my feet out from underneath me. Bless that woman. I hope you guys enjoyed that creepy graveyard shift paranormal story. I have worked in a supermarket before, only for like a couple months, but nothing creepy ever happened. But I can only imagine when the customers go home and you're there like alone stocking. Blech. But the reason I only picked one story is because I wanted to let you guys know where I got the story from. I got it from a subreddit. It's r/willing stories. And I know there's quite a few of smaller channels, smaller than me even, who, watch my videos and who are looking for, stories, and they don't want to run the risk of possibly getting a copyright strike against them. This subreddit has users posting their stories there, fully knowing and allowing, content creators, narrators on YouTube to use their stories freely without, having to worry about, copyright claims and shit like that. So, if you are a smaller content creator or any content creator, I don't know, who wants to do these kind of stories, these kind of narration videos, go to r/willing stories. There are not a ton, but there's a decent amount to choose from, especially if you're just starting out. So, I just want to bring light to that. When you go there, you'll see like a bunch of things, obviously. And on the right, there's like horror narrating channels of interest. There's like Lazy, Christmas Pasta, Bee-Busta, Your Maker, Dr. Horror, that kind of stuff. I'm there, GhoulishGal. I'm probably the one with the least subscribers, but I'm there, so that's pretty cool. But yes, go there. Check it out. It's awesome. Alright? So, as always, my last video will be on the top left, and my next video will be on the bottom left. My Facebook, Snapchat, and email will all be in the description below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.